Welcome to Season 2, Episode 45 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today, I got the squad. You pretty much know these people by now if you've been on our quarantine arc. That was a lot of stutters from me, but yeah, I didn't know where I was going with that for a second. But yeah, you know this squad from our quarantine arc. We got Matt Aguilar.
What up?
Janelle Wheeler.
Hey, guys.
And the wrestling man himself, Mr. Connor Casey, is back with us.
The wrestling man. I like that.
Yeah, and if Connor's here, you know some big things are happening in wrestling because he's got to talk to us about. And I mean, we have a trifecta of things today. Like we're hitting all three big topics, right? Like we got big developments going on with WWE's big bout with COVID. We're going to be looking into some big events for both NXT and AEW. So there's a lot to get into with these two and Janelle on the wrestling front. I'm the only one getting left behind here, I guess. But
well,
we got a lot.
I definitely need more information on this for sure because there is so much going on. I feel overwhelmed and lost.
That's okay. Connor's going to straighten you out and a lot of other people. Plus, we're going to dip into Netflix. We got some big Netflix things to review. We're going to talk about the new movie Eurovision, the new series The Floor is Lava. Matt's going to do his comics thing. And we also got some good geek news to talk about. So let's start at the top with all of that. So up first in the news section, we're getting a new TMNT movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're getting yet another movie. And if you've lost count of how many reboots, reimaginings, re-envisionings, animated series, new comics, and everything else in between, that's okay. So are we all are. This one's a little distinct and interesting because it's not going to be another one of those live action attempts that we just got done with, Out of the Shadows and all that stuff. Like, yeah, this is going to be a CG animation reboot, and the Turtles have done a CG, they've done a CG series, they've done a CG movie before, which were both pretty well received on the line of things turtle related. And so this one is even more distinct because it's got like Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and like a bunch of people from their camp kind of behind it. So the guys that did, I can't believe I'm blanking on this. Oh,
Neighbors, Mike and Dave needs wedding dates.
The one that launched them all, really, like the one with McLovin.
Gravity Falls.
Oh,
yeah.
Connected.
Superbad?
Superbad, yeah, the Superbad gang. But yes,
pretty much everything I didn't
laid
say.
out. Yeah, but you laid out the important stuff, the more relevant stuff. I'm trying to remember like old 2000s things. Janelle put out the more relevant stuff. They're the people behind Neighbors. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, and Jeff Rowe, who did Gravity Falls. He's going to be directing this TMNT movie. So it's not a bad lineup of people. This is going to be kind of, you could imagine like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are really good at kind of taking things that they were really nostalgic about, meant stuff to them as kids, and kind of finding these weird and funny new ways to kind of bring them back. And sometimes they're successful, and sometimes we get Green Hornet, but it's hit or miss. But this one feels like it could be actually good by people who actually liked like us, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 80s cartoons.
Yeah, the throwback.
And kind of in doing that. And there's so I'm not mad about this one. You guys, how do you guys feel?
No, I'm not mad at all. Now, wasn't Rogen's also involved in The Boys, right? And isn't he production partners and stuff like that with that? And then of course Preacher, right? So I mean, there's I feel like he's redeemed himself in that vein aside from Green Hornet, because if we just had that to go off of, I'd be a little worried. But I mean, also Gravity Falls, like all that stuff.
Not like the rise of Bludovsky?
No. I think it's good. I liked the 2007 Turtles all CG. If you go back and watch it now, like even the animation style is still fine. It looks a little dated, but like the core story
is pretty good.
Still pretty good. And this is also separate from the one that's coming to Netflix, which is based on the current Nickelodeon animated show Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is the one that's kind of reimagined, like where they're all based on different turtles. They all have like magical abilities, and some of the stuff is different, which I still really enjoy that series because it's actually really funny if you give it a chance. But that's separate. So we're still getting that, and then we're getting this new one. I'm glad that they're going all CG. I think that's actually better for the franchise, even though I adore the classic live action movies like everybody else. For whatever reason, they just haven't been able to nail that down. So I'm actually glad that they're going this route. I fingers crossed, man. I love the Turtles, so I'm hoping this does well.
I just need a soundtrack cameos where somebody's playing Shell Shock in the background of a scene.
Yes. Yes.
Knock, you about to get shell shocked.
Yes.
Janelle, what is any Ninja Turtles? Where does that fall in your nostalgia meter?
I was obviously more into the cartoons than the live action back in the day, and I had action figures and everything. It was probably my most masculine toy of all the toys, that and Hot Wheels. But you know me, more content. That makes me happy. I'm excited. Anything Seth Rogen does, I'm usually a fan of. Even the bad stuff, I usually like. I really love it when they take childhood movies and they put a spin on it and make it like digestible for adults. They'll kind of put some hidden adult humor in there. And so that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm excited. I think I would love this. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the theater and watch it, but yeah.
Hey, this is not worth risking your life for?
I don't
It's no Tenet.
Oh, this is unusually positive. All right, Connor, we're about to get out of here, but what do you think?
I dig it. I liked the look of that late 2000s TMNT CG film, so I think this is a good call.
Man, unusually positive.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving then.
No grenades.
Nice work, friends.
Get out of here. That's not good entertainment. That's not what the people want to see. They want to see blood on these things.
I mean, I hate it. It's the worst.
Moving right along, Matt, you got an update on the gaming front. We've all been kind of waiting patiently to see what's going on with this new Batman game and or Suicide Squad game. So you kind of dropped this in the thing. You wanted to talk about it. Now's your chance. Give us the latest. What's up with this Batman game?
So the biggest thing is that we've been getting these teases for years, but the DC Fandom event that's coming up in August, it was already teased that there was going to be a Batman game there, or at least like announced or something like that. But a new report via Bloomberg kind of cleared up some of the things regarding that. So it seems that not only is the next Batman game that's supposedly going to be revealed there is the one from WB Montreal, who made Arkham Origins, which I feel like is underrated because I really dug that game aside from some technical things. I love that game. So good. So good. Can I? Oh, I'm not gonna drop a grenade there. I'm still let it sit. I was gonna drop a hot take.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say that Arkham Origins is probably better than the final Arkham Knight. It's actually better Arkham Knight. Arkham City is still the best of the thing.
Okay, as long as you weren't going to say something crazy like it was better than City.
Arkham Asylum, City's the best. The original Arkham Asylum is still the best.
And Asylum is great too. But like Arkham Knight, I feel like Arkham Origins is actually better than Arkham Knight in a lot of ways, even just without the Batmobile. But I digress. So WB Montreal is actually the one working on the next Batman game. So that is actually what's going to be revealed at Fandom, at least according to these numerous reports. And we're starting to get kind of second and third confirmation, so it seems more and more likely. And then also, though, that is where the Rocksteady one, where we talked about last time, where we talked about Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, Justice League, whatever ends up being game, is also evidently going to be announced. So it seems like we actually might get 2 Batman games during this one event, which is crazy since it feels like, I don't remember off the top of my head when Night was released. But 15. It feels like a long time. Was that 2015? Okay. Yeah. So it feels like a while.
A long time ago.
So the fact that we waited so long and we're going to get 2 is pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. So yeah, just the clarity was, and then of course that's on top of all the movie news and comic news. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
This is going to be awesome. I cannot wait for this event.
This Fandom event has just kind of jumped up the charts. DC is taking advantage this year. I like it.
It's like they were like planning for it or something.
Janelle, stop trying to
conspiracy theories.
DC did not release the coronavirus to boost its own thing. These conspiracy theories out of here.
So yeah, fingers crossed we get 2. It'd be awesome.
That'd be so
All
cool.
right, now Moving on to things that might be a conspiracy theory. Oh, cheer up, Charlie.
Poor Charlie.
Poor Charlie Ridgely. So in an ongoing saga of our show, a guy you may or may not have met named Turn Up Charlie, who's one of our comic book staffers, has been pushing, he's been team New Mutants theatrical release for a long time now. And we even had bets in place and all kinds of stuff that about this year, I believe, if it gets released to theaters this year. And he keeps looking like he's gonna make it. We even brought him on for a victory lap a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we let him take his victory lap.
I don't think I was on that episode.
Mostly because we know they could quickly turn into shame laps later that we can bring up. But
my gosh.
We give him and Charlie's had a couple victory laps because New Mutants, after being in limbo, was gonna get released by Disney. Then it's been delayed, and now we're kind of nothing's official yet. At least not at the time we're recording this. I don't know what's going to happen by the time you hear this, but it's still set for release in July or August, is it? Yeah, it's on August. No. It is.
No, Bill and Ted moved to August 14th to avoid Tenet. And then Tenet is shifting to August 12th, right?
Yeah, okay, that's it. Everything had to kind of switch, and Disney had to move Mulan back. And if Mulan lands in August, it's kind of looking like New Mutants could be the one to get the bump.
Oh my gosh!
Just shock drop it in October on Halloween. That's the easiest thing
on Disney on Hulu.
Yes,
exactly.
Easy.
Come on back to Daddy. Come on back to Daddy. Yeah, that's been my side bet against Charlie. Has been just put this thing on Hulu as kind of like a shock release that would make everybody, instead of flocking to Netflix one weekend, flock to Hulu.
I'm curious, what is the bet? I forgot what the bet actually is.
It was from another world, so I don't really remember.
Dude, I'm just looking at this time
frame. That was
frame.
like four timelines ago.
It was supposed to be April 13th, 2018. Then it was delayed to February 2019. Then August 19th to avoid X-Men and Dark Phoenix. Then April 3rd release date this year.
Looking back, they should have just released it at the same time as Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like, damn it, why didn't we do this?
Double feature event. They should have just gotten your money in one opening weekend. Double feature event. The Lost X-Men movies.
The Duke Nukem Forever of X-Men movies.
Oh my gosh.
So so it's looking like it's not official yet, but it's looking real strong. Like New Mutants is probably going to get another bump to WTF. I don't know.
Watch Charlie get in, win this bet right on the buzzer, December 23rd. They just push it back right before Christmas.
Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve. Here's New Mutants.
And then we're going to have him on for another victory lap. I won. No.
December 31st.
So there really is no release
at 11
date.
p.m. Eastern time.
Oh my God. I can't even. It still looks good though.
Yes,
I still want to see it.
That's the irony, is this movie looks like one of the better X-Men movies we would have done from the beginning.
It looked good 3 years ago.
It only looked better the more we've seen of the finale and the Demon Bear and all that stuff. So
they're lucky we're still interested.
Yeah, this is just crazy, man. Poor Charlie. Oh, Charlie Ridgely.
Why didn't we put Charlie on this podcast?
Because it would literally just.
Can we just do a call-in?
No, it would just be to beat him up and laugh at him right now that this isn't happening, and then that just seemed very cruel.
Which might backfire on us if it comes out later.
Yeah,
and then we have to eat.
But we mourn with Charlie. Yeah.
I don't. I still want to see that Halloween Hulu release. I'm with Connor on this.
Yeah, Halloween, I think that's a good idea.
You could make Halloween this year a lot of fun if you really try some of the stuff that's coming out. So why not? All right. So enough laughing at Charlie Ridgely. Yeah, go watch that latest New Mutants trailer.
Love you, buddy.
Spots, because it does look like a good movie, and I want to see it. All right, I think we're in a weird spot now because now we're going to talk long, and I don't want to do that for too long. So let's pay some bills and take a break, and when we come back, we'll get into our deep dive segment. All right, so we got a lot in our deep dive segment. We're kind of deep dive heavy. We're a little bottom heavy today. Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Sorry.
All right, moving right along.
It was Janelle's cosign that made it.
It was just creepy. Janelle made it official. She was All right, moving right along. This is still a family show, I believe. So, Eurovision. Let's talk about Eurovision. Good family entertainment on Netflix. Will Ferrell's back at it with another crazy movie, and I thought we talked about this one because it's about singing, which, you know, we have a songbird here, Janelle Wheeler. So this is up your alley. And we thought,
an ex-songbird, but yeah.
I mean, you didn't go down too far in the coal mine, Canary. You're still able to sing here. Like, you're okay.
I mean, yeah, I just don't pursue it professionally anymore.
Yes. And you have been on an actual singing internationally recognized.
Yeah, you're like legit.
Gave me it literally gave me PTSD. Like so many elements of it. I will talk about them. It's
yeah, we're gonna get into this. So Eurovision's out. It's a Will Ferrell comedy. It's on Netflix. It's the only thing we had, so it's like the big thing. So I thought we'd talk about it since it was trending and kind of give our impressions of this one. I always worry sometimes with like the things that like Will Ferrell, the Adam McKay comedy stuff that they're going to make fun about is like sometimes going to be too esoteric for me to like get, like too inside of a world of baseball. And I saw this one was about like Iceland and culture and song in international European song competitions, and I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, I was like, but Janelle really wanted to do it. So for once, since I've made you watch some horrible stuff, I was like, all right, let me press play and take my comeuppance. But no, I actually enjoyed this one, and you know what? I'm going to give a lot of credit because this is a Will Ferrell movie, but it doesn't work because necessarily of Will Ferrell. It works because of Rachel McAdams is amazing in this, and like basically
she really is
takes this movie and kind of carries it, and her character is just, it's a really good mix of that kind of heart but kind of silly slapstick comedy.
It felt like Blades of Glory, but singing.
Exactly. Like
awesome. I love that.
I love Blades of Glory. I'm watching this right now.
Blades of Glory is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, gave us one of the greatest like rap song segues of all time. Like, yeah. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, it had that mix of heart and kind of like, it actually had fun cameos and things that actually make you learn about this world and stuff like that.
Demi!
Demi Lovato. It was up, and I had to look it up. I was like, wait, is that Demi Lovato? Because I was
so much more excited about.
I recognize her, but I had to make sure that Demi Lovato would do this movie.
Don't speak ill of Demi Lovato.
No, it's so typical, right? Like you would expect a pop star to be in a singing pop star movie.
Well, of course.
I know, but like I was way more excited about Dan Stevens from Legion as the Russian competitor, like that, like seeing him from like Legion to this, I was just.
By the way, are we going full spoilers with this or no?
Yeah. This is not like, we're going full spoilers on Eurovision. We're gonna talk.
I was gonna say like Dan Stevens doesn't have his arm severed and is not like later on fire in a ghost. Okay,
that's true.
I was saying that is like a great sequence.
No, Demi Lovato's her cameo was really great. Like it was like just understated enough that if you didn't know who she was, it didn't distract. But if you knew who it was, like it was really hilarious to see her.
And I loved her song, man. Like I want that song on my playlist.
Yeah. There's some really good songs in this, but
beautiful singing.
They actually did a good job. The whole Norwegian culture thing was like really funny. Pierce Brosnan being like the handsomest man in town who just like banged all these chicks was great. Will Ferrell actually did. I actually laughed. There were some parts that are just like really funny in this. That scene with the note where he almost gets strangled by the guy and the gnome saves him. That
was amazing.
He's like, "Here, I leave your knife here in case you have to do more murders." He just like runs away. With that whole subplot, it was just like zany and crazy enough. But yeah, like what I said, what holds it together is Rachel McAdams can, act her way, out of anything and just crush it. And so she actually.
I wonder if that was her vocal.
I don't think so. I can't say for sure. Either. I'm not going to say for sure. I'm not speaking ill. Like I said, she could do anything. So maybe it was, but it sounded like it was just some pop stars kind of like.
So good.
But and she kind of just holds that movie together at the core because it actually gives it like a purpose. And she's like a really good person to play off of Ferrell. And she's been crushing comedy because she was also great in Game Night, which was.
Yeah. I was going to say, I saw a tweet that was like, described it perfectly. Like, when are we going to recognize the comedy queen that is Rachel McAdams? And it had like 4 movies.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, she's in
Crashers.
Wedding Crashers. What should we call it? Mean Girls. Game Night. This Rachel McAdams can do anything, man.
She's so amazing.
Yeah,
but you need that for Will. Like you have to. You either need someone that just is exactly like him, so that the absurdity can play off of both, like Step Brothers and stuff like that, or you need someone that can do comedy but acts as the grounding presence. Because like here, Farrell doesn't do his he does his usual shtick, but it's not. It's like it's reined in. It has enough of
he's
McAdams.
He's actually like more in the background of the story than it, I was surprised by how much she is out in front and how much it is about her as opposed to him, because he's just he's just a constant. He's just kind of the doofus character who keeps doing doofus stuff. And it's
the thing with Farrell is
it's her you're worried about, like when all this goes down.
He's always funniest in these movies, but he's always funniest. It's always the small things with him, like when they're going out on their first show and the wings and all that. But it's not the wings and like him falling off or anything. It's like when he's rushing down and like all the little things he's saying and like, oh my God, no, like all his anxious energy is hilarious. Like that whole sequence is hilarious.
My favorite is his interaction with the Americans, just calling out the Americans and how terrible Americans are in general. It was that was so to their face.
Great.
Great.
Yeah, like his that's what he does. His improv and ad libs are like what makes Will Ferrell really funny, as opposed to like other comedians who need like more scripted stuff. But and like him and Rachel McAdams were a great pairing. Because like you said, she just grounds that whole thing and gives it like heart. So Eurovision proved to be kind of like it was a pretty fun movie.
Who knew?
And just to give a little bit of credit, I looked it up. Rachel McAdams did sing, but they also took a Swedish singer named Molly Sandén. I'm probably saying the last name incorrectly, but she was like, they were dubbed, they were smushed together to make those vocals like just crazy amazing.
Is Farrell actually sing, or is he?
Yes. Oh yeah, that's him for sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, because they don't try to make him sound like he's good. Like
it's like D'Angelo in a full movie.
He is great, like ad libs. I love it. But I was having some PTSD, all the backstage stuff and like the parties.
Give people background just in case people don't know.
Oh, sorry. I was on American Idol a lifetime ago, and I made it to the live shows and the voting and all of that stuff. And probably one of the hardest, they asked me in an interview, what was the hardest part about, being on the show? And I said, sharing my living space with these singers and these strange people that I don't know, because every waking minute of the day, people are screaming on the top of their lungs, like belting out songs in the hotel, in the waiting areas, in the lobbies. And I'm just quietly, I'm like, I just sing when I get on stage. And when they burst into song during the party, into this big, like over the top, like cringy, like vocal collab, I'm like, that is exactly what happens on these shows. Like people just start duetting and belting out of nowhere when you're at dinner, or like, it's so weird. That was the weirdest part about everything for me on the show. And I was dying laughing.
Yeah.
So it's accurate.
It was accurate.
Oh yeah. I've been part of the New York art scenes for many years. I hung out with a lot of theater kid friends, and spontaneous performances are a real thing that you just turn around. You're so like, what is happening? And there's an entire choreographed dance number of Lady Gaga going on behind you, and you're like, people are doing air splits, and you're like, what is happening here? It's a real thing.
Yep, that was really funny.
So I hope this was cathartic for you, Jay Wheel.
It was funny. It was really fun. I super enjoyed it, and now I want to actually go watch Eurovision, the actual competition, so that I kind of have an idea of what this was based around. I don't know. It just seems really, really good.
Yeah, this is one of those things that stars pick up while they're traveling overseas doing promotionals, and they got to watch stuff like this, and they're like, "Man, we gotta make a movie about this." But all right, we did that one for you. That was taking one for Janelle Wheeler. So we didn't make you watch something terrible for once, and you gave us something that actually turned out okay. Now let's get to something we can all enjoy and can unite America again. Floor is Lava, Netflix series. So when this trailer came out, we told you guys we were going to be looking in on this because, it's genius. It's just a show based on the concept that we all played as kids, that trying to climb like around a room and pretending the floor is lava, except they put some gross orange hot liquid in there and really make people climb these obstacle courses. So they just put it out, and I'm about 3 or 4 episodes in because I've been it's kind of a thing like I watch with my wife and we sit down and do it that way. So we're going to try to stay awake for all that. But yeah, I was nervous in the first episode. I'm not going to lie. The first episode had me kind of shook. I was like, all right, like first things first, is there going to be anybody who doesn't make it? Like that was my first concern because I was like, this looks relatively easy.
It seemed too easy.
And I was like, okay, I don't know about this. But then you start to see people eating it, and you're like, okay, maybe it is a little bit more difficult. And then by the second episode, they check to change rooms in every episode, and you're like, some of those rooms are legit hard, and you're like, okay, and it gets more challenging. And it gets good because there are unexpected things. People you think are gonna, crush it and get to the end easily start biting it. Like I've even looked away and looked back and be like, wait, where is that person?
Yeah.
That like, first episode had one team that I was like, oh, they're gonna take it, and like half that team went away.
They also had one team that I thought were gonna eat it. Like the mom with the twins. They're like, I was like, shh, they're done. And they
made it, and like
they were so funny.
So there is a surprising element to it. The only thing I've noticed is after about 4 episodes, you can start to predict who's going to eat it by what the narrator says, because the narrator, whenever he says things should be okay, that means somebody's about to eat it. And whenever he says, like, builds it up that something's going to go wrong, you're like, it's going to be okay, which is just TV. I mean, and it's not easy to narrate this show. Like,
so I'm not as far in as you are.
I'm 3 episodes in.
Okay, so I'm 2. Like, I'm on my 3rd. And I know Kofi's at 4. So like one of the things I can't take about like the one thing that sticks out to me that I don't like about the series is the narration. I can't stand it. It's so like it doesn't add anything and it's just annoying. So like halfway through the first episode, I was like, oh my God, please stop talking. Like just let me see what's happening. Stop talking. I don't need these giant intros of like per family. Like it's almost too long. Like I don't, and it's not like, okay, it's one thing American Idol does really well is like instantly get you to care about these people before they go on stage. This show tries to do that and doesn't in almost every single case. Like I get to like them over the course.
Yeah, they should let the contestants tell their story a little bit more instead of the narrator. Is that what you're thinking?
Like, yeah, because it's just like, it's so canned. Like I get it. Reality shows, I've watched how many competitive shows and some of that like campy fun, like they say puns all the time. I get it. I know what comes with the thing, but this one is so schlocky. Like it's just so bad. And I'm like,
I loved the triplets though, because their dynamic was so funny.
But they were great, and so
they let them talk.
Yes.
Yeah, they did a lot of talking because the one guy he was so sarcastic and he was such a jerk to his brother. He was just dogging on their hairline.
Yes.
Like their age.
But then I cared. And so then when they did it, I was like, oh, my, what? Like I was so
like,
in it.
Why did mom and dad make me so short? I was like,
but they didn't, but I enjoyed it. And it was like, just, it needs to find a balance. I didn't know if like later on in other episodes that balance is found. Like does it find a mix?
All I can say is it doesn't, I mean the format doesn't change, but like what happens is the narrator himself becomes more meta and aware of himself.
Oh good.
And so he starts like even commenting on his own failed commentary.
Okay.
Like he'll say like yeah, I kind of messed that one up, or didn't need to build that one up, or whatever.
Oh, I do remember that moment. Yeah.
It starts around episode 3, and then it kind of more and more he kind of begins, because after a while, I'm sure even he was like, all right, like they had to find the pace of like what it is.
Yeah.
And so there are more episodes where, and I like what they start doing, like they start kind of just getting in and just throwing a label on a team just so you understand they're like a type.
Yes,
and then just
the
keep
teachers.
Moving.
Like,
the teachers, and then like it gets better with that, and then like you just keep moving, and so it's easier just to connect as. They don't try to make them people. It's just like, we don't need to know their whole life story about college. It's like a quick blurb, like, hey, I'm this. They get made fun of, and they're like, okay, the mama's boys, like, and then they just keep going with that. And
because that was the thing in the first episode, like that first family, I'm like, literally, how long are we sticking on them? I don't need to know everything they ate for breakfast.
Realize, the amount of people that are just going to disappear into the lava, like, you don't need to know about them. You just need a loose kind of association Like, yeah, they do the triplets is where they kind of really clicked in. They were like, okay, the triplets. Then there's like the dad bods, the mama's boys, the pretty boys, and then they just keep going like that, and it's just much better.
It's all in the casting. They just, got to find the right people that have the great personality to be, animated on camera, and then also in the ring, in the course, because some people are just
a lot
bland.
of trash and eat it, and we can laugh.
It's so fun. But it's such a good break. Like, it's for me to have it on while I'm doing laundry or something like that. It's a good show to have on. It's fun.
And for me, my shout outs to the editors, because they really do a great job every time somebody goes into that water, making it look like they never come up.
Oh, they told you, that the producers were like, if your teammate falls in, you need to scream like they're dying. Cause like everyone, you can see they're like, haha. And then like, oh yeah. Like,
and they always cut away like they never come up.
The first person that goes in when she sacrifices herself, I was like, where is she? She never comes back up for air. So I'm like, where do they have some secret compartment down there? I was like Kofi, where when the first time they went through the competition and when they went through the track, I was like, okay, this looks a little easy, and I don't know if like the falls are going to do it for me. And then literally the one where the guy, it's one of the triplets, the guy falls and like he's at the last stair. And when he falls, they play that like 4 different times and 4 different angles. That looked like it hurt. I was like,
that's also, as the rooms get harder, that's the real joy of the show. As things just become more like loose objects spaced out all across a watery floor, people have to do actual jumps where they just begin to, most of it is just watching them crack their face.
Well, this stuff doesn't look like it's crotches. Not foam. It's not like made out of any, it's just like hard wood and it looks awful. Oh, geez.
It does.
But in the best way.
Yeah, but it gets great because people sacrifice some real important body parts to like get across this thing, and it is pretty satisfying. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. The narrator, it has to find its way, because like you said, the first episode I was kind of unsure about, but then by episode 3 and 4, when it really kind of gets rolling, they click into place. I'm enjoying it a lot more. So I'm gonna finish it up. So that's Netflix's The Floor is Lava. All right. Now, Connor's getting himself seated upwards and upright because this is his time to shine. You guys have a whopping amount of time to talk about wrestling before we got to throw it to Matt and get out of here. Or do you want to go comics first and then just do wrestling to your heart's content? Let's get comics out of the way. Yeah,
let's get comics because we usually get those cut off.
Yeah, so let's get comics out of the way and then just we're going to let you guys.
Can I start comics off with something cool?
Yes.
If you're not viewing this, I am holding up my first real sent to me color comic book. It's House of M.
Great.
And I am just so excited. The artwork looks beautiful. So I'm going to be starting that this week, and I'm so excited. So again, shout outs to Josh for sending me that. That's so sweet.
Talk about a great one to start with too. That's a good one series.
That's a good one. But Matt, all right, you got comics and then wrestling to talk, so take us through it.
All right, so it's a quick week. This is one of those weeks that just, there's not much because it's the next week actually kicks off the next month's big thing of books. But we do have a few. We have Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 15. We have King of Nowhere number 3.
What Matt is alluding to are those weird, gross, oblong weeks in comics that are just danglers, where they don't want to treat them like end-of-month danglers like this.
Oh, my God.
And so they wait till the next week.
Danglers.
Not touching it. Not touching it. We have Disney's Moana. What a great segue that is. Disney's Moana, the story of the movie.
Didn't want to touch my dangler.
Stop it. We have All American Comics one shot. We have Firepower Volume 1, which is Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney's new book. We have Negan Lives number 1, which is I imagine Janelle will be very excited for that. Are you gonna
chomping at the bit? I would love to read that one.
So that is one we should definitely get. Like when you have a chance to read, you should definitely get your thoughts.
Okay. I can do that first.
Yeah.
We should talk about that next week.
Okay.
We have Dawn of X, Volume 6. We have
FOH.
I'm not a fan of. They did start releasing the series by themselves. We are actually getting like Excalibur Volume 1 We're getting Marauders Volume 1 and stuff like that. But yeah, this is a lot. It's still, that train ain't stopping anytime soon. And then last but not least, we have Marvel's Black Widow Prelude, which seems an odd time to release it since I imagine when it was in the works, the movie was, that has been a whole thing. But if you are like Brandon and posting tweets about that the movie would have released this day and missing theaters, you can definitely check that out and bide your time a little bit more. But that is
Downer.
All right, that's it, guys. This is your time to shine. It's time for some wrestling. Take us through. However you guys want to do it. I don't know if you want to do it alphabetical, if you want to just do it by most important, WWE.
Well,
you guys take it.
Let's talk about what's happening, Matt, because some people might not know. Over the next 2 weeks, episodes of NXT and AEW, which air at the same time live each week, will be going head-to-head with their own special little events. AEW've got Fyter Fest. That was a pay-per-view last year. They're turning into a free show. And NXT is reviving an old WCW brand, the Great American Bash. There's a bit of shady pool, some might say, by bringing back Great American Bash to go head-to-head with the son of the guy that invented the show and doesn't have his hands on the copyright. You know what I'm talking about. You already know. But I gotta be honest. I'm really excited for these next 2 weeks because this is the stuff that is so much more interesting to me when it comes to this Wednesday night war than pulling up the ratings on Thursday and seeing who won the night before.
Yes.
This is the stuff that's fun. Yeah. This is the stuff when people compare this to, Raw and Nitro going head to head in the 90s. We don't really get that anymore. This is the closest we're going to get to that.
Yeah. Well, and we don't get it anymore because of the nature of the industry
of the business.
It just doesn't happen. So I agree with you. I get bored of the ratings back and forth. So this is exciting because both cards are loaded and they have fun matches, and because there's 2 weeks, you can actually build stuff in one to feed into the other. It's really, really cool. So if you were a wrestling fan and haven't given either of these a shot, this is the perfect time to me to just jump in.
Exactly.
Okay.
It really is.
Good to know.
If you're not busy on Wednesday nights, either USA or TNT, I'd recommend the TNT show. But that's just me.
Okay.
No allegiances showing at all, by the way. None.
Exactly. But let's look at both these cards. Matt, give me 3 matches that you're like, you absolutely gotta see this if you're watching NXT.
So for both nights, right? Not just night one. So I know for the Great American Bash, we only have one match so far confirmed for the second night. We have ideas what will come next, but it's a big one. So but starting with night one, I would say one of the biggest ones is actually the number one contenders match because of what it sets up, which is Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, and Mia Yim, all in a fatal 4-way elimination match, which the winner of that will then go on to face Io Shirai. The other big one involves Io Shirai of the night and is with WWE Sasha Banks, which is a huge one.
That's not a title match, right?
No, exactly. So because of that, it's the contenders match actually has more ramifications for later. I don't think Shirai's going to lose in any case, but you could actually see a new champ if in that one. But Sasha is still going to be that's going to be a great match. So those two from night one. And then I would say if I had to keep it to 3, the next week's event with North American champ Keith Lee versus Adam Cole, who is the NXT champion. This could very well be the time where we see Keith Lee become NXT champion, Adam Cole ride off into the sunset and do whatever else he's going to do.
I love that match. I'm worried they're not going to give us a clean finish on that one.
I'm worried too.
I think the Karrion Kross teaser, right before all that happened, was kind of like, oh, this is where we're going. What's Keith doing? I mean, if they want to make it Kross versus Lee and just 2 big bastards going at each other, I'm good with that. And they want to get Cole out of the situation. Well,
the only thing I can think of is if because I get it. That totally makes sense. And it's a very WWE thing because honestly, I thought the last time we had Cole pay-per-view they were going to do it, and they didn't pull the trigger. So they could do it here. The only thing I can think of in that case is if Keith wins, becomes NXT champion, then Karrion, somehow they figure out some way for Cole to get the North American championship or some belt. Then Karrion goes after him, and that gets him a belt, but not because I think pushing him to NXT champ right now might be a little too much for a lot of fans.
Well, the thing is, they love these, especially in NXT, they love these god tier heels. You look at how fast Kevin Owens went from, hey, I just showed up, to I am going to murder Sami Zayn and win this championship. That was real quick. Ciampa going from his turn into, hey, Aleister Black, I want that title. Just a couple of months in between that. Yeah. So
I agree. They very well might. I think if you're looking for a capper of this event, that's like, and it kind of like they did with Ripley, because as we saw, that doesn't mean you have to keep the belt on them for very long. Ripley only had the belt for a couple weeks and then gave it away. And now
I think that had more to do with them loving Charlotte Flair than it did having plans.
But I think they did it because they knew ultimately, like, we can take the belt off her and still, like, she's a little Teflon at this point. I think Lee gets the belt. They could still take it off him if they really wanted to, and it wouldn't really necessarily hurt him. I think it's a bummer. I would rather just have Lee win here and then become champ and get a run. That's how I would rather, because I'm a little like done with the Cole era. I'm looking for something fresh. So that's where I come at it from, but they can go either way with it.
You knock the Cole era, but you got to mention Dexter Lumis being the greatest thing on television right now.
No, that match.
I love that guy.
If it wasn't for, like, because that match, I'm looking forward to that match, but it doesn't have anything to do with who he's facing. It's Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis, by the way, for setting for Janelle Covey, Dexter Lumis is a creepy dude in the ring. He's like a
snake man. He slithers out from under the ring and just looks at you.
Is he like actually creepy, or is he
his
cool
character?
Creepy?
His character is kind of coolish.
It's kind of funny because they'll ask him a question and then he'll start drawing a caricature, and then they'll come back from commercial and the caricature's done. He just holds it.
It's like a full piece of art. Like, and he slithers on his knees. He randomly pops up like Jason, just staring at people from the shadows.
I feel like I love that.
It's great. So they're doing the first ever strap match against Roderick Strong, who has been terrified running in the walls and running from him. It's been hilarious. I gotta say, I didn't see that coming, this whole thing, but it's great. Yeah. But it's just the fact that, like, it doesn't have like any like long-term ramifications or anything. It's just going to be a great, fun match. So
then Thatcher Lorcan is just going to be lots of slapping from two skinny pale guys
and missing teeth.
Oh God, yes. Lots of missing teeth.
Yeah, lots of
then over on my side of things, they've kind of loaded up the first night with title matches. You got Omega and Paige versus the Best Friends. Cody taking on Hager. I could care less about that match. I'm sorry.
Oof.
I just don't.
No JK love.
Is this AEW now?
Love.
Yes, this is AEW.
This is AEW now. And then Sheeta versus Ford. My thing with Fyter Fest is, as much as I like a lot of the card, I don't think any titles are changing hands, just because this is very much hey, we're holding over for our Labor Day pay-per-view. You know, a couple months from now, we got some big stuff building for that. Don't expect too much to happen here. I will say that tag title match is going to be awesome, because I went back, Matt, I don't know if you've seen it since. I went back and watched that Paige, Omega, and the Bucks match from February.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that got 6 stars everybody praised about. It's still awesome. It's still such a good match. And I've seen Best Friends do some amazing stuff in Japan. Actually, with the Bucks, now that I mention it. I think they'll kill it with the tag match. The rest of that first night, I'm like, is what it is. But then the intrigue comes in night 2 for a couple of reasons. And if JK is listening to this, he'll love it, because you get Orange Cassidy, my boy, taking on Chris Jericho in what is sure to be an amazing match. How is that not
match of the night? That's got to be like I'm so looking forward to that match.
Like, the fact that they had a brawl and he pulled out a second pair of Ray-Bans and put them on after he crushed his first ones and just stood there while he's like literally bleeding out of one of his ears, is just like the coolest. That's their version of the Becky Lynch breaking her nose thing.
Yeah, it's great.
A couple years ago. and you're gritting your teeth at that one, man. But then there's the intrigue. You agree?
I'm not going to put them on the same level, but I will say it's great.
Okay.
See what I did there? Positive.
Fair enough. The intrigue comes in the world title match because we don't know if it's going to happen. It's supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage. One problem is Jon Moxley's wife is Renee Young, and she came out revealing she had COVID last week. And they live in the same house.
Yeah.
And, the latest
Are we going to talk about the COVID stuff?
Yes.
We certainly can, yes. That's one of the bigger developments from that. But just the last little hanger on here is just...
Coronavirus!
Thank you, Cardi. We don't know if as of this, when this episode comes out, we still might not know if the match is happening because it gets taped on Thursday. He has reportedly had 2 negative tests. But then you got to wonder, for incubation, you don't know if you have it for a couple of days. So it could be a toss, but they might just say, screw it, we're not going with it. But if the match does happen, somehow it'll be good. And to answer my own question, give you 3 matches. You need to watch the tag title match, FTR and the Bucks in an 8-man tag, and Jericho versus Cassidy, just for the sheer ridiculousness that it'll be. Is there anything from that show that interests you?
Me? Yeah. There's, and in fact, what I was going to say is, so Janelle, right? So she's looking at which, for both nights, if you're going to watch things, what I would suggest is, I think the first night, Wednesday night, is a better card on NXT. I think it's more
I hope
stacked.
you know I'm actually typing out notes.
No, yes.
Right now.
Okay.
I would. My thing would be, I would recommend the first night you watch the Great American Bash, and then the second week, I feel like Fyter Fest. Even if, because we only know one match right now on NXT, it's not an apples to oranges comparison, but I think even regardless of what gets added to NXT's second night, the second night on Fyter Fest is going to be so hard to beat because it's just loaded with really interesting stuff, especially if the Moxley thing happens. So I would watch that the second week and watch NXT the first week, and I think you get a great sample of both.
I have a really stupid question.
Yeah,
go for it.
I do not have cable. I just have a lot of logins. Me personally, I own a lot of streaming services, and I have the WWE app. Where does that fall? Does that fall in line with any of that, or are these both just completely on their own?
So NXT is part of WWE.
So I can watch on that streaming service.
Correct me if I'm wrong. How soon does the replay from the current week get on the network? Is it a day later?
That's
from what I understand, it is still a day later.
I literally, one of my community members was like, I want you to learn wrestling. I'm buying you this membership for 3 months. And I was like, okay.
Janelle's fans rock. Can we just say that?
I am really doing this wrong.
That's my
House
friend
of M,
Steve.
a WWE subscription.
But I can't let them down. If someone's investing in me, I've got to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
and then as far as AEW, that is on TNT. Now, Connor, is there a way to watch that, in a nap or?
I have Hulu Live, so I'm able to watch it through that on my computer.
I have Hulu Live too.
So then you'll be golden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Oh, and wait though, if you have Hulu Live, you probably is USA on there too?
Yeah, you could watch both.
Yeah, so you can just watch both. But yeah, you could always just do you just flip between both and get us for both times. But I don't know if Connor agrees with me, but I think that's not a bad shakeout because I think regardless of what NXT does on their second week, Fyter Fest second week is just packed with stuff that I feel like you it's a perfect sampling of what they do.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. You get the great tag team stuff, the goofy, hey, it's kind of an inside joke, but the moment you watch it, you kind of get what's going on.
Okay.
And just the biggest names kind of clashing each other. I feel like with Fyter, they definitely thought out the whole thing in advance. Whereas with Great American Bash, they were like, we've got one big match to worry about, and then the rest we're just going to kind of fill in as we go.
And also, even if you don't catch it live, I mean, I know WWE is really good about this, and I believe AEW is too, about like you can watch a chunk of them on YouTube because they do a really good job of like putting out multiple clips from each match.
That's what I was going to ask about.
So
yeah.
even
because,
if you miss
condensed versions.
Yeah. Or
because, comic reading,
yeah,
streaming,
or
video
not,
games.
It won't be the whole match, but it'll be like the very
Important
like
pieces.
75% of the way through to the end to kind of give you.
Do you guys have a favorite channel that you want to shout out or anything like that?
Connor?
Like on YouTube?
For YouTube?
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to Cultaholic. They are a Newcastle-based wrestling news coverage site. I love their stuff. They are so funny, especially with their podcast. So if you want to check them out to kind of keep track of stuff, they're fantastic.
Cool. Cultaholic. Got it.
But yeah, so that's all the action on Wednesday, and you can definitely keep up. And I would really be curious to see like what you think after you've watched them both and really get a sample of all this stuff that happened. Because like really Wednesdays is like a whole other world of wrestling.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like already with the documentaries and WWE, and now I'm like, oh gosh, there's a whole nother side.
I'll say this, just like whenever we talk about the pay-per-views and we're negative about like, oh, this show sucks, this stuff is completely separate from that.
Okay.
These are one's a different brand, one's a different company.
Well, and notice how positive we've been. Like we've been immensely positive in this, as opposed to the ones that Kofi always rips on.
Like, you guys don't know how to sell wrestling. It's like, yeah, because the wrestling's not great.
Why are you so depressed? Yeah, this is totally different.
We're gonna do a whole segment on this big event that's gonna suck.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Until we get to the horror show.
Oh,
that's
don't do that. Don't bring it down.
The horror
show. Don't bring it down.
We can't read the room.
30
We're
positive
almost out of
cases
this.
with
Come on.
COVID.
All right. So let's real quick, because I know Janelle brought it up. Let's touch on the COVID situation with WWE.
Yeah. The latest we know is that at least 4 people have publicly stated that they have it. WWE has told all of its wrestlers to not say publicly if they have it. So it is kind of a toss-up as to who has a positive case and who doesn't. The highest number we've heard is 24. So it could be a lot. You basically
I just Googled it and it said 30 positive cases of COVID on Forbes. You have to
pretty much base it off of who is not on television, who has come out publicly and said they've got it, and then it's kind of guesswork from there. We're never really going to just tell you how bad this is, but we do know that they tried to get a live show set up for late next month in Lakeland, Florida. That's gone. That is not happening.
Florida cases are spiking again.
Yeah, it's bad all around. So it could be a while before we actually see WWE events in front of actual fans and not just NXT wrestlers. And they've already pulled the friends and family thing, so that's not even happening.
And now here's a positive thing. At least now we are starting to see people in the audience have masks. That was something that was not happening before. And if it did happen, it was like one person and everybody else didn't have one. So now at least we're seeing that in the crowd. It's still not everyone, but it's at least a step in the right direction. I will say the one thing I did find interesting in the latest news was that like fans are having a little bit of an issue with WWE making Ric Flair it's central part of a storyline and having him in the building when you have all this stuff going around him. To put it in perspective, Ric Flair is how old?
71.
Okay, he's
a couple years removed from being basically dead.
Yes. So why are you bringing a 71-year-old, no matter how limited a role, you're on TV and you're around all these people. So why are you bringing a 71-year-old to the Performance Center 3 weeks in a row? Why are you doing that?
It's really not a good look. Like all looked at. It's like when we all saw Jerry Lawler at the commentary desk. We were like, "Hey, you're in your 60s. Get out of here."
Yeah. I mean, and this can affect everyone. Don't get me wrong, and regardless of age. But at the same time, yes, some people are more at-risk than others. So take common sense precautions. Just do that. So yeah, and I understand where some
others.
of the
everybody goes luchador.
Yeah.
With the masks.
Not a bad idea.
With masks.
Although most of their masks don't
cover
their
their mouth. It
should
be a mask storyline, so you don't know who's doing what to who. And it's a big mystery. WWE all mask event.
Lucha Underground revive.
Yeah. Oh man,
I miss it.
That'd be great.
I do too.
All right. Anything else on the wrestling front, guys?
That is it, but be sure to keep an eye out for the coverage. We're going to have live coverage of both shows.
Busy over the 4th of July weekend. Oy, all right. That'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you're just getting into the show during our quarantine arc, we put up new episodes every Wednesday and every Friday on Comicbook.com, where you can subscribe to our RSS feed. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Google Playlists, Spotify, Stitcher. You can go on the Comicbook.com YouTube page to see our smiling faces, or watch live with us every Wednesday and Friday on Facebook. If you are just now getting into the show, you want to talk to us about any topics, you can hit us up at the hashtag Comic Book Nation. You can also tell your Amazon Alexa devices to play Comic Book Nation podcast, and it'll fire up. I always forget about that one, but that's an easy one. Yeah, hashtag is Comic Book Nation. You can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Janelle Wheeler.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
And Connor Casey _CB.
And if you guys are just now getting into the show, if you go on iTunes and review the show and leave us 5 stars, we are eventually one shining day, are going to be back in our office. And we have a whole room full of these Comic Book Nation t-shirts. If you're watching, you can see me wearing, that we want to send out to people who leave us 5-star reviews. So when we get back in the office, we're going to have, this thing keeps getting longer and longer, but we're going to have a whole rundown of 5-star reviews from appreciative fans. And we're going to send out a bunch of t-shirts to keep the mailing department earning those paychecks since they've had so much time off. So please go on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review so we can get you a t-shirt. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you again for tuning in to Comic Book Nation. We want to say, make sure you guys stay connected, stay healthy, stay at some kind of peace in this crazy year, and be sure to tune in with us again. So we'll see you next time. Peace.
Deuce.
Later.